Honeybees are flying crawlies firmly identified with wasps and ants, known for their part in fertilization and, on account of the most popular honeybee species, the western bumblebee, for delivering nectar. There are more than 16,000 known types of honeybees in 7 perceived natural families. A few animal groups, including bumblebees, honeybees, and stingless honeybees, live socially in states, while a few animal types, including mason honeybees, carpenter honeybees, leafcutter honeybees, and sweat honeybees, are singular. Honeybees are found on each mainland aside from Antarctica, in each territory on the planet that contains bug-pollinated blooming plants. Honeybees feed on nectar and dust, the previous fundamentally as a fuel source and the last essentially for protein and different supplements. Most pollen is utilized as nourishment for their hatchlings. Vertebrate hunters of honeybees incorporate fowls, for example, honeybee eaters and dragonflies, to give some examples. Honeybee fertilization is significant both naturally and financially, and the decrease in wild honeybees has expanded the estimation of fertilization by monetarily oversaw hives of bumblebees. Human beekeeping or apiculture has been polished for centuries, since in any event the hours of ancient Egypt and ancient Greece. Honeybees have showed up in folklore and fables. Moreover, honey, according to a Greek myth, was discovered by a nymph called Melissa bee, and honey was offered to the Greek gods from Mycenaean times. In English folklore, bees would be told of important events in the household, in a custom known as telling the bees. Telling the bees is a traditional customary of many European countries in which bees and their habits told of important events in their keepers' lives, such as births, marriages, or departures and returns in the household. The predecessors of honeybees were wasps, which are hunters of different bugs. Probably the most established instances of honeybees in workmanship are rock canvases in Spain, which have been dated to 15,000 BC. People have kept bumblebee states, ordinarily in hives, for centuries. Nectar is a characteristic item created by honeybees and put away for their own utilization, yet its pleasantness has consistently engaged people. Smoke was regularly used to stifle the honeybees. Bumblebees are utilized monetarily to deliver nectar. Honeybees are incompletely viewed as edible bugs. Aphitherapy is a part of elective medication that utilizations bumblebee items, including crude nectar, illustrious jam, pollen, propolis, beeswax, and apotoxin, bee toxin. The difficult stings of honeybees are generally connected with the toxic substance organ. Notwithstanding, the discharges of these organs could likewise be utilized for home development. The record makes reference to that honeybees pass on subsequent to stinging. Throughout the last 50 years, there has been an overall decrease in the species wealth of wild honeybees and different pollinators, presumably owing to pressure from expanded parasites and illness, the utilization of pesticides, and an overall diminishing in the quantity of wild blossoms. Environmental change likely fuels the issue. Ranchers have zeroed in on elective answers to help moderate these issues. By raising local plants, they give food to local honeybee pollinators. It is assessed that 33% of the human food supply relies upon fertilization by bees, feathered creatures and bats, the greater part of which is cultivated by honeybees, regardless of whether wild or trained. Honeybees might be single or may live in different kinds of networks. Their settlements are set up by swarms, comprising of a sovereign and a few hundred specialists. Most different honeybees, including recognizable crawlies, for example, carpenter honeybees, leafcutter honeybees and mason honeybees, alone as in each female is fruitful, and commonly occupies a home she develops herself. There is no division of work, so these homes need sovereigns and working drones for these species. Single honeybees regularly produce neither nectar nor beeswax. Honeybees gather pollen to take care of their young, and have the vital variations to do this. Most single honeybees home in the ground in an assortment of soil surfaces and conditions, while others make homes in empty reeds or twigs, openings in wood. The female regularly makes a compartment with an egg and a few arrangements for the subsequent hatchling, at that point seals it off. A home may comprise of various cells. At the point when the home is in wood, typically the last contain eggs that will become males. The grown-up doesn't give care to the brood once the egg is laid, and generally kicks the bucket in the wake of making at least one homes. The male ordinarily arise first and are prepared for mating when the females arise. Lone honeybees are either stingless or improbable to sting just in self-protection, if at any point. While singular, females each make singular homes. The existence pattern of a honeybee, be it a singular or social animal groups, includes the laying of an egg, the improvement through a few sheds of a legless hatchling, a pupation stage during which the creepy crawly goes through complete transformation, trailed by the rise of a winged adult. The male normally arise first and quest for females with which to mate. The sex of a honeybee is dictated by whether the egg is fertile. The egg is by and large elongated, somewhat bended and tightening toward one side. Singular honeybees lay each egg in a different cell with a stock of blended pollen and nectar close to it. Pollinating bees consume nectar and pollen, which require alternative digestion strategies by somewhat specialized bacteria. Honeybees' wings flap around 230 times each second. Honeybees explore utilizing spatial memory with a map-like association. 1. The Waggle Dance, known as a figure-8 dance. Bees can speak with others to tell them where food sources are. They squirm their bodies, in the hive, to do this. This is designated the Waggle Dance. People can likewise speak with one another. 2. Communication skills. Bees can head out to exhaust food sources and afterward find another, which isn't vacant. They can do this with data passed on by their siblings. People additionally have the ability to convey this data to one another and discover certain territories. 3. Navigation. Bees can work out how to return home from places they have never been to. People can likewise do this. 4. Relatives. Some people have siblings and sisters, thus do people. 5. Nobility. Bees have a sovereign that rules over the hive, a lot of like there is a Queen of England. 6. The main hub. Hives could be contrasted with human urban communities as it is the place where a large part of the populace live and flourish. 7. Designative roles. Each honeybee has its own part in the hive, for example, working drones taking care of energy waste with the goal that they have enough strength for their flights. People likewise have their own special jobs. 8. Socialism. It could be contended that there is an order in apiaries, much like there is a social chain of importance in people. 9. Adaptable. Certain honeybees have figured out how to adapt themselves to various conditions over ages. People have additionally figured out how to do this. 10. Friendly with neighbors. Humans can be agreeable with their neighbors, thus can honeybees. 11. Prone to disease. Bees can get diseases and infections, much like people can. 12. Various genes. Bees have hereditary variety, thus do people. 13. Caring parent. Humans feed their young, thus do honeybees. 14. Live as a family. Bees have families, thus do people. 15. Developers. Bees can fabricate, thus can people. 16. Viciousness doesn't solve anything. Bees can battle and murder each other, thus can people. 17. Communal or singular. Bees can be lone or live in gatherings. 18. Evolving. Humans have developed, thus have honeybees. 19. Share the workload. Bees can split work among them, thus can people. 20. Some don't sleep. Some honeybees don't sleep and neither do people.